Hey out there, everyone in social media land, YouTube, and wherever else you might be catching out this super cool Big Guys Biz Show with Noel Pulanco and Mike Stout. Say hi, Mike.
I am.
This week we've got Theodore Teddy Young and Ryan Young, both with Raymond James Financial Advisors. What's the full name, Ted?
We're wealth managers, but yeah, Raymond James.
Awesome. So I met Ted a few years ago. We were in the same BNI group, and I was just looking to get into, long-term investments, some IRAs, those type of things. And we met a couple of times. My wife picked another gal from another company, who of course is no longer there. Now we're trying to transfer all our stuff for her. So, happy wife, happy life thing. But we came back, so I'm super excited that Ted and Ryan are taking over my accounts. But I think a lot of people out there, at least I didn't know until I started paying attention, probably way too late in life, is what's the number one thing a wealth manager is going to do for somebody? How's that for a
That's a great question. I think in finance, there's a lot of different topics, right? I mean, you can go down any rabbit hole you want, but if you're choosing either a financial advisor or wealth manager, I think the biggest value that we add is giving you a roadmap to success, right? So helping you build a financial plan, taking all the pieces of information such as your bills, your debt, your income, and your age, and building that yellow brick road to say, hey, you need to save, $500 a month, whatever that amount is, so that because I think that's the hard part, right? As a property manager, properties and you can navigate that environment or background checks. But when you try to tie in your finances, you just don't know all those things, right? So,
Sure.
I think that's the number one thing.
In all the years with real estate, obviously, I'm teaching people how to buy real estate as an investment and rent it out. So I know the basics on that, on how that's going to work. Somebody's going to pay it down for you. Hopefully, you get a little bit of cash flow, and then hopefully the house gains value. What I had no idea and didn't understand is all the different products and ways that you guys can help find people make that end goal and save that money, and also, make that money work for you. One of the biggest things I've been realizing over the last few years is it takes money to make money, right? So doesn't mean you have to be rich to make money, but it does take some money to make money. So if somebody's just starting out, I know you can't get real specific on, specific portfolios or products. But if somebody's making, I don't know, let's say $50,000 a year, and they're single, let's say 20s, because I think people need to start way earlier than they generally are. If somebody's making 50 grand, like, where do you start the conversation? Do you kind of look at what all their expenses are, figure out what kind of, tell them to stop eating pizza and put that $30 somewhere else? Like, how do you start somebody on the right path?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that's the hard part, is just starting, right? So, and that first step is gathering the data, such as, if your income, your $50,000 coming in, well, do you rent or own a home? And what's that payment? What's that? Because that should be about 40% of your total expenses, right? So, we can estimate what your expenses are just from that piece of information, getting your expense information. Another really quick and easy way to estimate if you're not sure what you're spending, pull up your bank statements for the last quarter, last 3 months. Just look at what is outgoing, right? Add those up in an average amount, divide by 3. It gives you a rough estimate. It's pretty quick and easy. If you have a bank account that you're spending out of, great. If you have credit cards and paying them off each month or not, that's fine too. But that's, getting that expense information, and gathering that data, putting it in and saying, okay, this is your lifestyle, right? If you have a lot of credit card debt, paying off that debt potentially and building a game plan to do so, putting into a financial planning software, and then from there taking the next step, right? So if you're employed by a company, taking advantage of a employer 401k or 403b match or something along those lines, that's doubling your money, right?
So take advantage of what's offered if you're in the corporate sphere, right? For sure.
Yeah,
that's like a no-brainer, and they kind of manage it for you. It's easy. That part's just taken out. So my wife's always had that. being in real estate, we've never had something like that. So once we figured it out, the last couple of years, we put in, the max allowable for our IRAs.
Yeah.
And had I known it would be that easy just to have it automatically doing it every month, I should have been doing this since I was 22.
Yeah.
Would have had a lot more in there. So obviously this will be personal to the person, but Ryan, you're a bit younger than maybe me or Ted, or I don't know how old Mike is, but
older than you both probably.
So if you're on the younger end and you're just starting out, it probably makes more sense to be a little bit aggressive, right? If you're investing.
Absolutely. And that, that's goal dependent. The most common goal we see from our clients is, how do I get to retirement safely? How do I make my money last through retirement? And if you're a younger person, like I am, I'm 30 years old, you can probably stand to go very aggressive for retirement. Now, if a secondary goal of yours is, hey, Noel, I want to buy a house in 5 years, that's a much shorter time frame than 30, 35, 40 years. So, that goal and that account would be much less aggressive. So being aggressive is good. I wouldn't put it as a blanket statement on all young people go aggressive. I think it's more like, what is the goal? What's the time frame? How long do we have? And then we try to purchase appropriate stuff from there.
Well, and that's really why having, someone that knows what they're doing is crucial. I think the lady that we picked knew what they were telling her. So, I think she kind of asked us the question, do you want to be aggressive? You've got time to do it or not? We're kind of like, yeah. It's just like, do you have any requests? I'm like, I don't know, something with metals a little bit. So I think she just kind of stuck us in what the corporate plan was, from her company. I won't throw them under the bus, but so it's really important to find somebody, like you said, figure out what is the long-term goal, what's coming in, what's coming out, and what do you want to do with it? Is it going to be short-term, or is it going to be a 30-year investment, right? It's like the same process I go through if somebody's buying a house. Newlyweds think they're going to live there forever. And I'm like, the average is like 7 years, so do you have to live here forever? What is the ultimate goal? You're going to rent it out? How many kids you think you're going to have? Is it going to be big enough? I get older people that call and say, we want to buy a condo in Scottsdale so we can retire there in 5 years. I'm like, you sure you want to go up and down stairs 5 years from now and for your whole retirement? Do we need to be on the first floor? So those kind of things matter. So what is what do you guys generally like to do when somebody first engages you? Do you guys meet in person? Do you get all of their financials, or do you just kind of start off with a conversation?
I mean, we're relationship based. I think the big difference between what we do and, what Fidelity or a lot of these other do-it-yourself brokerages provide is we want to know our clients. And I think that starts with, grabbing coffee, grabbing lunch, getting to know them and understand their situation, right? How many kids do you have? Are you wanting to put them through college? Like all the questions that might not be pertinent to the initial setting up of an account, but I think are important for knowing who our clients are and then giving them the best advice possible, right? So
I think you and I did that over a beer at OSO or something the first time.
Beers are good too. Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's the way to start. Mike, you've got your own company. I'm sure you've got some investment stuff in the background. When did you start?
I'm just like you, and I kid you not, one day my doorbell rang. This is something I never thought about. I thought, well, I'll just sell the business and here we go. Well, it was a financial planner, and he's like, hey, have you ever thought about this? And I was like, no, never.
Yeah.
And he's like, what do you want to do? And you mentioned aggressive. I'm like, well, how there's these, sort of levels, and here's aggressive. Well, be even more aggressive than that. So, does it work? Not all the time. My big question to everybody is always, think of investing in real estate versus some other stuff, and which is better and why. But we don't have time to discuss that kind of thing. So, but anyway, I waited.
You guys can kind of answer the basics. I mean, you'll probably say it's best to diversify, right?
100%. And I think that's why I harp on the financial plan, because, again, as a business owner, exit planning, that's involved in what you're going to get for the value of the business. But it's the whole picture, right? I mean, it's not just one piece. It's really taking into account all the factors, right? And then once you have the financial plan, you allocate funds in different investments. Real estate's great because it gives you cash flow and it hedges inflation, right? The rising cost of any building materials mean the next new build home is going to be a higher price point, right? So it's a great, anything that's physical asset related is a great inflation hedge, but we
That's why I
can
tell
do
people
that.
sticks and bricks is something tangible.
Metals, like you said.
Right. Metals, or, the miners, there's lots of different ways to play it. But stocks, you can pick stocks that do the same exact thing, right? And so the big difference between any stock investment and maybe real estate is liquidity, right? Yeah, you can get a home equity line, but if I want to be out, I can sell that stock during the market that day and be out of it completely and in cash.
You could buy something else tomorrow.
100%, right? So you have the liquidity and flexibility. Real estate has many benefits, but one of the downsides is the illiquidity factor. You have to find a buyer, you have to, qualify for, or get them to qualify for a mortgage, etc.
You gotta hire some goofball realtor like me,
Well, and you got a badass like Noel, and you'll always make money. You just but you want to have different benefits and downsides to each investment. There are all these investments are set up for one reason or another, and they play off each other, right? So even cash management is a big topic right now. So and then you have account types, right? Retirement and tax efficient vehicles, Roth, pre-tax, real estate. You can purchase through an IRA. We're not going to get into that, but but you might not want to, right? So you want to have the whole picture, right? And I always recommend diversifying. Real estate's a great investment. I've been saying that for years, especially in the Phoenix market. I don't think that's changing anytime soon, but you got to account for the liquidity aspect.
Well, and it's a lot tougher to get into. The house we're in now, we bought 2 years ago during the absolute boom. So it was great that we made money on our old house, but we had to spend more than we would have, 4 years ago on this house. Anyway, one of the first ones we looked that we wanted just hit the market again yesterday. My wife loved this house, right?
Yeah.
It's just a little over 500,000. We went to check it out. We started running the numbers. Okay, can we use some of her 401k for the down payment? So we looked at how much they could loan us that we could pay back. And I didn't realize that we could cash out like most of it if we wanted to and have the money in a week. I was like, kind of wish you wouldn't have told me that. I thought they were going to say we could only take a little. They're like, no, you can have it all tomorrow if you want it. But obviously there's tax implications and stuff on that. But to your point on real estate versus starting with, some type of wealth management stuff is you can get in a lot cheaper, maybe a couple $100 a month or a few $1,000 down. We were going to have to put $50,000 down minimum, and our payment was going to be like $3,500. That's just the way the interest rates are in the market is. So I really wanted to do that because then we could move into that house, keep this one as a rental. Boom, we're moving along. The investments are working, but it's just not attainable. It just wouldn't work. But instead of that, we look at maybe instead of jumping into another house, moving some money over to a different, financial avenue to try to make money. We've got some money just sitting here, not a ton, but we've got enough to do something with. So that's what I see the hardest part of real estate is you have to have enough to get into it and be able to afford a much bigger payment, but absolutely you should do it. We've owned real estate now for 14, 15 years. I just wish we would have owned a lot more stock, bonds, those types of things 15 years ago.
Well, you never have enough in the winners, it's just no matter what it is, you always want more when they win, and you just got to manage the risk when they don't. So, and
I think at least, Mike and I are kind of the same age, and probably you are too, Ted. Like nobody was really teaching us this stuff, at least when I was coming up. And to me, stock seems like something rich people do. IRAs, Roths, all those things. There's something old rich people do that I didn't know about. And, it seems like cloud money to me. It's just out there. Hopefully it goes up. Hopefully it goes down. And being in real estate, obviously I focus most of my energy on that, but I just don't think people know about it, So are you able to talk a little bit about some of the different products that you guys offer?
Yeah, so just in the general, I'll let Ryan kind of talk about specific products or avenues that we offer. But when I started my firm, I was nationally recognized at Merrill, won tons of awards. I have bulls in my office that are like 18 bulls that are quarterly, annual, monthly. And they're great company. Don't get me wrong. I'm not here to bash, but I think when you talked on stocks and bonds being for larger investors, the finance industry is set up in a way that those with more money benefit more, you know, because of lower fees or more product offerings, et cetera.
The rich
When
get
I started
richer.
my, sorry.
It always seems like the rich get richer, right?
Yeah, well, it's true. I mean, and there's reasons for that. But when I started my firm, one of the main reasons why I left was I wanted to have relationships with all my clients, regardless of the asset size, right? And because I think you're dead on there. I think there's a lot of benefits that we can provide as wealth managers that the industry doesn't allow for one reason or another, maybe not directly, but indirectly, right? So, you know, you have a lot of do-it-yourself platforms now, which are great, but they also don't give you the financial planning tools. They don't, you know, teach you all the different things like cash management strategies that we're proactively reaching out to our clients and saying, hey, you should be earning 5% on your liquid cash right now. And most banks can't afford because of to pay you that on your cash because of the current interest rate environment. You know,
Sure.
it's those things that I think a lot of people are not getting access to. And that's why I started the firm. So, and then I brought Ryan on to extend make sure we're providing the best customer service that we can. And so I'll let Ryan kind of talk about the different things that we utilize, but I just wanted to throw that in there.
Got to have a good coach. Got to have a good coach.
Yeah, absolutely, Ted. And you know, I do this all the time, Ted, but thank you so much for giving me this opportunity and you know, having me come work with you. I started investing when I was 22. I was fresh off of my first deployment. Had a fat wad of cash, and probably should have went out and bought a Ford Mustang, but my dad ended up doing that for me. So I had a lot of money sitting around, and I was interested in the market. And so I remember years ago, you know, talking to Ted about it because he was newer in his career. I was still stuck in the military and trying to figure out the best investments for me, and more importantly, the best type of account. There's no one best investment for everybody. I wish there was. We would just buy all of it. There is better accounts for people. You know, you can outperform the market every single year, but the IRS is going to come calling. So we like to kind of do a baseline of, hey, you know, make sure you're putting money into your 401k, your IRA, or your Roth IRA, because all of those accounts are tax advantaged on one end. And so that's usually the base for most of our new clients coming in, is we'll work with them to make sure they're putting the appropriate amount away for retirement. I would say is the primary goal.
So my son is on his first deployment right now in a classified location. But from what I see on his banks, you know, his bank statement comes here. So of course his mom opens it. I hope nobody's listening to this, that will get us in trouble. Actually, I hope a lot of people are listening.
Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly.
There you go.
But we see, I mean, it's pretty much bar and clothes, you know, and food when they can get off the boat. So I'm like, dude, you got to start saving some money. You got to start saving some money. We've seen other kids that have come home. Usually it's from their second deployment, but come home with a Harley that was paid off.
Oh, yeah.
Gained 40 pounds of muscle. So he's on a boat. So all he can do is video games in the gym, right? But then as soon as they get off, man, that money's gone. And, you know, they don't make much as a Marine. So I'm like, dude, you got to save a little bit so that when you get home and start working, you know, go to the gym. You don't have to buy pizza for everybody. Buy yourself a slice. Let's put some of this away. I really think a good avenue is to teach, especially not just the younger folks, but a lot of these military guys don't have a clue. A lot of them are going in for all kinds of different reasons. You know, having somebody that they can lean on that's got that experience will be very valuable. I think I put your name to a few of his buddies.
That's such a great point. I remember distinctly, I had a friend back when I was in the Marines, and he got out a little bit before I did. I was actually on ship when he got out, but apparently he didn't even have money for a bus ticket home. He had spent 4 years in the military and had not a dollar.
Nothing.
Which just it blew my mind. And last I heard, he was working at a gas station back in his hometown. So there's definitely a lack of education, especially, you know, with our troops. If you're an 18-year-old kid, you have everything paid for, plus here's $20,000 extra. You know, what are you going to spend it on? Pizza and beer, probably.
Yeah, that's how you end up looking like me. That's what happens.
Me.
But yeah, I think that's really crucial. So I'm going to hit him hard with that when he gets home off of his first deployment here. Is it a boat or a ship? Can I call it both? We were having this argument yesterday.
You should call it a ship. We call it a boat because we're a little rougher around the edges, especially when it comes to the Navy. They are our taxi. So.
Yeah, that's similar to what he says. They got a thousand Marines catching a ride.
Exactly.
Well, I think that's great. So start early, start often, spread it around. I think, people that are trying to think they're going to hit the GameStop and do the penny stocks and be a Bitcoin genius. And, I've got a little bit in some couple of stocks that I bought. The only one that seems to be working is the one that's robot arms. It's like robotics. It's supposed to replace burger flippers. I was like, when people aren't going to come back to work, it's got to do something. But the rest are all up and down, but I don't put a bunch in those. I want to do my big monthly things, the repeatable things, the things that I don't plan to touch. That's why I'm using you guys, so that I know it's going where it's going there, and that's not stuff I'm going to worry about for 10 years. Just keep putting it in and don't pay attention to the daily ups and downs because you'll freak yourself out, right?
Right.
Awesome. Well, I think this is educational. I know you guys aren't allowed to get real specific, but we've got your information up. I encourage everybody out there to either get yourselves on board with Ted and Ryan, or maybe if you're, closer to me and Mike's age, get your kids on board so that they can start as early as Ryan did and just be in a better place. We're going to talk about doing something for my daughter who's 16 and definitely get my knuckleheaded son on board as well. Any other questions, Mike, for these guys?
No, not really. I want to say and make sure we say thank you for your service, Ryan.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate that, Mike.
Mustache, how long you were in?
I was gonna ask that, but
yeah, it definitely sets me apart from the other advisors, as usually we just kind of look like Ted, but I look like Ted with a mustache, so I get a lot of recognition for it.
The Monopoly man, makes me think of Mike, so keep this going. You already got your Halloween costume set up. Hey guys, I greatly appreciate you. Thank you for jumping on this. We never want to make these too long, but I'm so glad to be back working with you, Ted and Ryan. I'm excited to have you helping us out too. Mike, as always, I appreciate you. And if you're watching this and you're out there and you have a business that you'd like to discuss, or even just a cool topic, maybe we'll do UFOs next time. Let me and Mike know. This is the Big Guys Biz Show, and we want to promote you too. So we'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Noel.